Okay, so on a 2017 Nissan Maxima, if your AC is not blowing cold, but it's blowing cool and you have to add Freon to it, more than likely you have a leak, right? So if you can't find a leak underneath the hood, if you look at the lines and the valve and the expansion valve in the back and the compressor in the front and the condenser, and you can't find any leak anywhere, the only other place you can have a leak is inside of the dash. Let's go here and take a look real quick. To check for evap leak, you pull that side cover right there. Pull the side cover. Just like that, and you're gonna look under here. This is your AC drain, the water that drains out the bottom. You can look in here for oily stuff or dye, green color dye, and if you find anything there, then you know your evap is leaking. Also, if the evap is leaking, you'll have oil or dye will be running down this metal plate, and it'll settle down in this hole right here. You can check that there for oil on your finger. Also, you can pass your hand along the bottom here on the casing right here and feel for any oil. You'll have oil here and you'll come out and you'll leak. Let me show you. I already cleaned that up. Let me show you over here. Look on this cover, the side cover. So that is your oil and your dye that's coming out from the evap. So this evap is definitely leaking, which is pretty common on these vehicles. It's not an easy thing to replace. It's a pain in the butt, but that's what usually leaks on them. I'm gonna grab some right here on this screw right here. I don't know if you can see that oily stuff on my finger. Let's see over here. Look at that. Have more on there. That's the PAG oil from the AC system. It's leaking out right there. So this car has an evaporator leak. So that might be the same problem with your car. Check it out. You got 3 screws under here. Let's see. One here in the middle, and one here at the end. 3 screws at the bottom. Open the glove box. Now you have 3 more screws at the top. You have 1 in the corner here, 1 in the middle there, and you got 1 across the end. Okay, there's 2 more hidden screws, and that's what you need to know, right? Let me show you that real quick. 2 more hidden screws. Push your hand in the middle of the glove box here. Right up here, there's another screw right there, and across the other side, there's another screw up here. Okay, in that little hole up there. And you can see that right up there, the light shining. In the middle of the glove box, you have 2 more screws. After you finish taking that off, what you're gonna do is reach behind the glove box and pull it forward real hard. It's in there tight. So let's do that next. So here we go. I'm gonna push my hand in the back of the glove box, and I'm gonna push it forward real hard, like that. And that's how you get it out. Now we're gonna have some electric wire here to disconnect. Connect this connector here. This connector here. You're gonna have to take that off. One connector. Two connector. Also right here, wiring harness, right off. And there you have it. This goes in the hole right here. Turn until you see the plug, the wire harness right here. Okay, so it goes in like this. Like that. And then you put 3 screws on it and put the wire plug in harness right here, and that's it. Got this plug right here, plug it in. And there, voila, that's how you do the blower motor. Now there's 2 more screws at the end here. After you take the glove box off, take these 2 screws out so you can have some, you need to pull on this, have a little bit of room so you can take this blower motor box out of the way. It's big and you need a lot of space to do it. This is the hardest piece to take out on this whole entire job. Okay, you're going to want to take out the blower motor from the bottom. It has 3 screws. Blower motor screws, 1, 2, and 1 more here, 3. Okay, take those 3 screws out and you can take out your blower motor. Okay, so right there where the light is shining, right here, there's a little stud sticking out there. That holds up the casing. In the back to the firewall, this little slot right here fits there. So that, make sure you put it back in there. Here's your recirculation actuator. This is your recirculation door right here. Closes and open to let fresh air in or recirculate the air inside the vehicle. So you're gonna disconnect the wire plug right underneath here. Also, this screw right here, 10mm socket to take this screw out. This is a hidden screw. This one is hard to get to. I'm gonna show you right through this vent hole right here. You're gonna have to stick a socket, an extension down in there to reach that to take it out. Or you can get a little short 10mm wrench and work underneath there. You go underneath there and work it until you get it out. Let me see if I can see that. So that 10mm goes right here. It's not an easy one to do. That's a hard one. Right up there. It does not go in that hole, but it has another hole over here. And you access this hole. You can either turn a little wrench right here. It'll take a while. Or you can access through the vent hole here. Take out the vent and access it through there. The passenger side duct for the floor duct. This is what it looks like. And it has, let's see here what it has. It has one screw at the top here. It has one more screw down in the bottom here. And it has one more screw on this side right here. So that's 3 screws. It has 3 screws holding this part up. And it goes right here, right on top of the actuator motor, right above it. That's where it goes, in this corner right here. Okay, that's where it goes. So there's the duct installed. You have one screw here, one at the top, and then you have one in this corner here. Okay, that's where it's at. So you're gonna need to install the actuator motor. It's got a fixed position. It has a slot there. Make sure you line that up into that hole right there. This right here. Line it up correctly and then bolt it in with a few screws. Just like that. So it has 2 screws on it right here. One here. Don't over tighten. And that's it. This is your evaporator cover. When you're replacing an evaporator, you got to remove this cover. It goes right up underneath there where the evaporator is. It sits right there. Okay. So let me show you the screws that you need to remove. It's going to be these little screws like this right here. Alright, so you have a motor that sits here, a blend motor. That motor right there. You're going to have to remove that. Okay, so you have, I'm going to start at the top. Right there at the top, you have 1 screw here. Then I'm going to come around, you have 1 more here. 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 Lock it there. You have 1 more here. You have 1 more here. And you have 1 more inside here. And then you got that one up there. I think I showed you that one already. So those are the screws you have to remove in order to take this part out. Okay. So this is how you have 4 clips right here that holds it in place. It's a metal clip. So it goes back in there like that and snaps right in. There. It's in. Then you have this little drill that goes up on top. Like that, you have 1 screw here. It has little tabs here. They'll snap right in when you click it. It'll click right in like this. Just like that. Then you install 1 screw right there. So this just have snap clips on there. Just put it in like that. My setup for taking the 2 screws off the expansion valve by the firewall. Swivel, extension, ratchet, and a number 4 hex. Number 4. Okay, disconnect your expansion valve from under the hood. Right there. Expansion valve on the other side. Disconnect that and then slide your evaporator core out the hole. Like this. You also have a fin sensor, temperature sensor here. Take that out, pull it out from the evaporator core like that. Right there. And remember to put it back in. Okay, gonna slide this out some more. I'm gonna have to bend this because it's heating right here. I'm gonna bend it. I'm not using this back again. So I'm just gonna bend it like that. Makes it a little bit easier to slide out. You could slightly bend the new one when you're going back in with it, but you gotta be careful not to make it crack open on the top here, cause a leak where the welding is. There. That's how you take it out, man. Like that. Woo! There's the leak right there. It's that green dye. It's leaking at the bottom somewhere. There's a leak at the bottom there. That green stuff, that's the dye from the Freon oil. You can see right here. You can see some green stuff there. I can see it. That's where it's probably leaking. Somewhere in there and leaking down to the bottom. I have to replace these 2 O-ring seals right here on the line. The bigger one goes to the bigger one here. The little one goes to the little one here. I'm going to use a little bit of PAG oil on the O-rings. That much right there on my finger. Just oil that up. That way when you're putting it back in there, you don't want it to pinch the seal. Okay, oil it up real nice. That's perfect. Alright, so I put a piece of duct tape on there to keep this clean, prevent dirt from getting in. Now we're going to install it. Okay. Little tight fit there, and this is why I put the duct tape. It's dragging on the firewall there on the insulation, and it could easily get inside of the hole. It's a little bit tight, so you're gonna have to wiggle your way in there. There. It's in. This right here is dragging here, and that will cause it to be tight. Alright. Take that tape off of there now. Tape is off. I'm going to feel, make sure my O-ring is there. Yep, we can feel it. Alright. Now we're going to push it in and connect it to the expansion valve. Lighten it up. Little by little, and it'll get in there. Alright, I'm gonna need 2 hands for this. Okay, so it's in, and it's connected there to the expansion valve. You just gotta make sure that your O-ring and everything is in place. And then you go under the hood and tighten up the screws. So we're gonna need a long extension with a swivel and a hex socket, number 4, to connect the evaporator core back onto the expansion valve on the line. Right back there. Okay, so now that the new VAP is in, the next thing I want to do here is do a pressure test or a vacuum test on it to make sure it's not leaking right where I connect it, the O-rings. Make sure it's not leaking there, because sometimes you can cut that O-ring and you're gonna have to go and replace it again. So make sure you're not leaking before you start putting everything back together. Alright, so make sure you do a pressure test. You can either do a pressure test or a vacuum test. See if it's holding vacuum or holding pressure before you close this back up. That's a lot of work to close it back up and take it back apart if you have a leak. So do a test, make sure where you connected the O-ring, it's not leaking there. And if that's good, then you can close it back up. So this is your cabin air filter. This is the only video you're gonna see like this. So this is your little cover that you have to take out. You have a little groove, a lock there. You shove it up in here like that and clips in the bottom. It's not in there. Goes in there like that. Come on. And it clips in the bottom. Okay, so it goes in. That little groove right there has to snap in. You need to get that behind. I think this one got. It's a little tough to do that. Has to get behind here. I don't want to go there right now. You gotta press it in, I guess. Anyway, you gotta press it in there and you clip in the bottom here. The bottom clips in here like that. That's how that works. It's a little tough to get in there right now, but I'll have to fix whatever that problem is. Now that I have this apart, the filter goes right here in the back of the evaporator core. That's where it sits. Okay. Okay, so this sits like that in there. Cabin air filter goes in there like that. If you notice, this cabin air filter is bigger than that hole. So you usually have to squish them in there. You gotta force them in there like that. Force it in. See that? It's bigger than the hole. And shove it all the way in there. It has to go all the way inside. On the other side of this, like that. See that? It falls inside. Sits in that groove right there. Okay. So right there, that's your evap cover. Remember, when you take this off, and you take the motor off of here, the actuator motor, you also have this wire right here. This is for your evap temp sensor. Remember this little notch right here? It's a little spot right here. The wire has to come through right there. If you don't put it back there, you might cut the wire when you reinstall this thing. That's a little gap for that wire to come out. Remember to put it back in right there. Okay guys, so to put this back in, it is not easy to go back in. It's hard to go back in. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is split this case in two and put 1/2 in there at a time. Okay, split it in two. Now, the only screw you're probably not going to be able to put back in there is this one. Okay, this one is going to be by the firewall. You're not going to be able to see that one to put it back in. And that'll be fine. You can work without one screw. So we're going to put this one back in there first and then connect the other half at the bottom. That'll be the easiest way to do this. Okay, so there's the upper half blower.
Okay, so next time
box,
I'm doing one
blower
of
motor
these
box.
evaporator jobs,
It's in there.
I'm gonna take
right in the corner here.
Case,
you're gonna have to slide the box in this way and then go up with it into a slot. There's a little slot back there. It has to go up into a lock in, and then you're gonna get the lower half and put it in next. This bracket right here. This is the bracket that's giving all the trouble in the world. That one there. If you can only cut that bracket off of there and weld it back on, or make a nut and bolt or a screw type bracket that you can screw it in with one screw, that would solve all the problem in doing a evaporator core on the Nissan Maxima. That one little bracket right there. If you can take out this lower half, in the vehicle, that would be so much easier, but you're gonna have to fight with it a little bit to take it out. You're gonna have to try to find all those screws to do it. By looking at this video, you might be able to do it. So you might want to try that. Okay, so you're gonna have to connect that box, connect it back up together. You can see that gap back there. You're gonna need to connect all that back together and put some screws in there, hold it in place, and then push it into place to connect to the other duct back here when you're done, and screw it back in. It's not gonna be easy, but you can do it. Okay, so here what I did. I put the first half up, then the second half in. I catch one screw up there. I didn't tighten all the way, one screw right there, just to help hold this in place while I'm trying to put it together. Then right here, this little tab sticking out that you have to put a screw there, I push that up into place, and I push this up into place, and then squeeze the backs together, and everything came together. Now all I got to do is put the screws around the box, put the blower motor in, and continue closing up this. That was really the hardest part of the whole job right there, that box. It's a little bit oversized to get out from a tight space. So the box is installed, and don't forget to plug this actuator wire harness back here. Don't forget to plug that back in. It's right there. It's in. Okay. I have a bunch of wires to plug back in, so don't forget. There's a 10mm socket you have to get for the screw right here, a 10. It goes right here, but on the opposite side, like here. Right up here, that's what I was saying. This is a hard screw. It's going to be a little tough screw to put back in and take out. You can use a little short wrench and do it here. Or you can do it through the hole up here. Straight down in there. So let's do it the easy way. Okay, so I have a long extension, 10 swivel, and a ratchet. This will do the trick. Straight through this hole right here. Remove the vent and go straight through this hole. Okay, and now we tighten. Oh, it slipped. Get it back on there. Okay, where the arrow is pointing up right here. Up means you're going to point it to the firewall, to the front of the car. Okay, so like that. We're going to point it like that. Then we're going to get it back here. Okay. Let's see if we can. There's a hole back there, a slat. Just put it in there. It doesn't matter if you squeeze it and bend it or anything. That's how you're supposed to do it. And it's going into that slot back there. That's where it's going. Alright, so let's continue. I'm going to push it until all of it goes inside of the hole. It has to go inside of the hole. All of it. Way up in there. Make sure you get all of it in the hole, because it's supposed to go in the hole and then spread back out inside. There. Okay. Alright. So let's look at that now. See, it's way down inside of the hole right there. Now we got to put a cover on it. This is the little cover. Okay, so on this cover, it goes on, have a little, there's a little hook right here. You got to slide this in up like that, and then slip the bottom in, push the bottom in, and let it lock into this little tab right here. This is how you pull it up like that to release it and pull it out. and you just snap it back in the bottom. That's how you put this cover back in there. Okay, so now we're gonna try to put this cap back on for the cabin air filter. You can't really see nothing back here. You have to feel for this. I'm gonna slip it in the groove right here and start sliding it up. This is always the hardest part right here. Slip that back on. Might need a little screwdriver to do that part right there. You gotta push that hard. I gotta get a screwdriver and push that tab in there. Now we're gonna have to slide that up into place. Push the bottom in. Let's see here. There. Nice and tight in there. Perfect. So hey, thank you guys for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to tell a friend or tell a cousin. I'm sure they'll want to know how to do theirs. And you guys have a great day. Thank you very much. Until next video.